U.S. President Donald Trump did not immediately impose tariffs on Canada on his first day in office. During his inaugural address, Trump didn't mention Canada or the northern border, although he later warned he'll drop the economic hammer on Canada next week. So while it's unclear how the president will specifically move forward, politicians on this side of the border have been bracing themselves. That includes two Ontario councillors, Chris Leahy from Whitby and Rowena Santos from Brampton, are behind from city to city. It's a campaign aimed at showing the potentially devastating effects of U.S. tariffs on the local economy. They even targeted some of those ads at people who attended Trump's inauguration yesterday. Chris Leahy and Rowena Santos, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Thunder Bay.
Thank you for joining us. How are you feeling today now that we've seen President Trump through his first day in office?
Well, I don't think either of us are surprised. We saw this coming with respect to his tone, but also his feelings towards places like Canada. And ultimately, some of the things that he's been threatening us with tariffs, is going to impact our local economies the most. When a plant shuts down in the city of Brampton or Whitby, our cities will feel it most with its impact on jobs.
Do you think that the push from Canadian politicians, including yourselves, may have helped, quell Trump's tariffs for now?
I think there's a huge chance of that impact. Part of this campaign is to educate people in the U.S., especially our municipal counterparts in the U.S., that they can put pressure on the state and federal folks, that there's going to be impacts to their local economies. Like for 36 states in the U.S., Canada is their number one trading partner. Like this whole concept of tariffs with your closest ally and friend is really just bizarre, and we need to get that message across that this is not how you treat your friends.
And speaking of Thunder Bays, 30% of the United States lumber comes from Canada, and Thunder Bay is one of those providers of that lumber on top of potash, coal, and everything else. In Brampton, it's auto manufacturing, and how interconnected the auto parts manufacturing sector is between the United States and Canada. Same with Whitby. Whitby is electricity, and Canada providing a good chunk of electricity to Michigan, New York, and Ohio. So there is this interconnected, and while he's taken a knee-jerk reaction with his comments, I'm hoping that some of this pressure is causing him to think more strategically about what the damage might be in the U.S.
So tell us about the campaign you launched. I understand you targeted ads to those in Washington, D.C. yesterday. What's your message?
Well, we put a video message together about what the impacts are to Canadian jobs, and more specifically to U.S. jobs with the geofencing technology. It targets people that were attending the inauguration in the U.S., and that's going to be lobbyists, politicians, decision makers, and try and get that message across that tariffs are a really bad idea. They're going to impact their local economy, like out here in Whitby. I live between we're the nuclear generating power station of North America, and we generate all that electricity. We sell a ton to the U.S., and Premier Ford is one of the things threatening to shut that off, and there's going to be an impact to the manufacturing and electricity provisions in the U.S. So we need to get that message across. That's why it's so important for us to double down now that it wasn't announced today, but maybe next week we got to double down on our efforts.
Rowena, what do you think are the key parts in the message that you're sending?
It's resonating. So even before we launched the campaign on the ground in the United States, we gave a sneak preview of the videos that we would be launching. And in that first week of January, when we started sharing it, I'm now at 92,000 views of that video, with folks from the United States, residents and businesses, commenting, saying, you guys are spot on. Where can we sign up? And similarly with Chris, from his perspective in his region about electricity and the impact on the United States, same sort of viral response on his video, even before those ads officially dropped as paid ads during inauguration yesterday.
Well, as we've been hearing, advertising an expensive thing. How much did this cost?
So we've spent several $1,000s, and that's the beauty of the geofencing technology, is that between the impressions and the OTT advertising, as it's called, that basically targets people's phones, whether they're watching YouTube or whatever it is, the different things we see, all those ads, those are the ads that we're pushing, and the cost per ad isn't so high. So we're starting with our own funds, and if more people can join us and amp that up, we'll be able to reach more people.
Now, when we talk about what's to come, just before Trump's inauguration yesterday, Ontario Premier Doug Ford said this.
And I've sent a direction to the LCBO, if these tariffs come, to clear off every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. Let's start promoting more Ontario-made wines and the vodkas and spirits. That's what we need to do. We're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the entire world. They will feel the pain. I will make sure I communicate this to our other premiers that they should be following suit.
That's Ontario Premier Doug Ford speaking Monday morning in a speech to the Rural Ontario Municipal Association. Rowena and Chris, what's your reaction to how Ford has handled these tariff threats?
I support Ford pushing back on a bully trying to threaten our local economies. And he's giving an example of how a trade war will hurt the local economies in the United States. Over the holidays, I visited the Jack Daniel's distillery in Tennessee, located in a small town called Lynchburg, Tennessee, where they produce every single drop of their whiskey. It's the main source of jobs for their small town, and the majority of their rye is sourced from Canada. So the retaliatory efforts by Doug Ford will have an impact on Lynchburg, Tennessee, where Jack Daniel's is produced. Those jobs will go down. And so folks in the United States need to know that message, which is why our campaign is so important to reach those in the U.S.
And it's also, you see Trump's being a bully. You only can respond to that with strength. So happy to see Premier Ford pushing back.
Now, why is it important to you as local councillors to add your voices to this tariff conversation? Why not, leave it to the provinces and the federal government to handle?
Well, we're the front line. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, sure. No. Yeah, and it, just like Rowena is saying there, that we're that frontline person. Like, we get most of the calls for local residents because we're accessible and we are representing our local areas. Like, people are concerned about their jobs, so they're reaching out. They're asking, what can we do? And the answer is not, let's just wait and see what happens and hope the province and the feds deal with it. We need to take that response, reach out to our municipal counterparts in the U.S. so they can put the pressure on their federal counterparts at the negotiating tables that tariffs are bad for their economy in the U.S.
You know what? I'm sorry. We'll have to end this. There's another station wants to talk to you, but thank you so much for speaking with us this morning.
Thanks so much for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was speaking with regional councillors Chris Leahy from Whitby and Rowena Santos from Brampton. They're behind the campaign From City to City, an anti-tariff campaign.